Hello everybody, and welcome back to another video game analysis. And today I want to do something a little new. I want to dissect motion control. And for a while now, people, however you feel about motion control, I don't know. Some people don't like it, some people do. Some people just hate on it just to hate on it. But in the end of the day, motion control is here. It's died down a little bit, but it's pretty much here to stay. Because, you know, especially with the gyroscope, that's been being used a lot lately. Motion control is just so efficient, and some people are gonna think I'm crazy for saying this, but I think motion control is better than the mouse. I really do. I really enjoy motion control because all those years of using joysticks and having those little gotta go to make it work, you know, that's what I really enjoy. And we're going to go more into depth with that, with what we can enjoy, what is enjoyable about motion control, what isn't enjoyable about motion control. And in the end of the day, we're going to probably be pretty much talking about the Wii, but not just the Wii, because I want to talk about the history of motion control as a whole so we can fully understand the idea. Let me actually get in the center of the camera. Okay, everyone, let's meet the Zavix port. I bet those who even heard of this forgot about it. Yes, this is the Zavix port. This is made in 2004, a whopping 2 years before the Wii came out. Yeah, it's not as many good ideas as the Wii had. For one thing, all the controls are on top right here. It's up, down, left, right, cancel, and enter. This is where the cartridges go. The sensor bar, the famous Wii one was separate. This one isn't, which is a big mistake. The console is the sensor bar itself. And here's the reset and power. It looks like they want to do a lot with this because they had an AV in, an audio video in, so they probably wanted to do something there. And they have an expansion jack where you probably connected it to something. I don't know. It looks like they had a lot of ideas, but ultimately there were only 3 games made for this, and I have every one. Here is baseball, tennis, and bowling. And bowling had a better idea. It has a secondary sensor bar on the cartridge itself, so you can put this on the floor. Much better idea. And it does run a lot better. Here's how you put them in. You take them out and you push them forward. Yep. Yeah. So, I remember hearing about motion control, and I thought it was such a cool concept, you know, moving with the game. And there was a few things I didn't know I was getting myself into, honestly, but you know, here's how it worked. When the Zavix came out, I was excited. I got it. I didn't even think of it as whether or not it will fail or anything like that. I just thought it was a cool idea, and that's the same thing that I got with this Wii systems to sell for a very long time. Couldn't even find one the first year, but the idea was, you see, we just got over the virtual thing. That was the thing in the gaming industry. We just got over virtual reality, and that was too forward. And I think eventually maybe we'll try it again, but for now, it was a failed experiment. So here we are with motion control, which some people still think is a failed experiment, but I personally think overusing it makes it a failure. However, putting it in little bits, or nice sports games like this, makes it work. You see, having motion control games, a lot of people like the sports ones. Wii Sports was incredibly popular. There's new HD Wii Sports Club and all. It was the Wii Sports, I think, was the most selling game in the Wii one of the most selling games in the Wii library. This is crazy, and it's all leads to why, you know. It's because sports require movement, and the fact that you're even more and the fact that you're familiar with these games, because we talked about this in the past, how sports games were something used a lot because game developers didn't really know what to do in the beginning of the gaming world. So instead, they just made a lot of sports games and board games and stuff because it's natural to us and we understand that. That's why I think sports was just a great introduction to motion control, and that's what I had with the Zavix. it was really cool. I had a lot of fun, and I gotta say, playing this years later, I still had a lot of fun with this. I was having a blast actually recording this. I'm keeping my Xavix. My Xavix was collecting dust, but I'm gonna keep it in my basement now. Turn it on once in a while. Don't judge me for the the bumper guards. I didn't even notice I put those on, but it's like, you know what, I need this footage fast. But yeah, that's pretty much how it boils down to interaction, and we're gonna go more into that. So yeah, it's all about interaction, and that's what's really important. That's why I think fans of motion control really enjoy it. It adds more, and personally, and I think this is pretty agreed upon for everybody, motion control should not be the full thing. You should not force motion control. And what was surprising about the Wii was developers did that really early, and you wouldn't think that. You would think that they would ease you into it, but they didn't. Like Nintendo did, I think, as a whole. With games like Twilight Princess, you have motion control to control the sword and the claw shot, and that was good. And then you had the rest, it was controlled with buttons. But in the end of the day, you had games like Sonic and the Secret Rings that made you use nothing but motion control. Maybe use a button to jump or whatever, but it was awkward and weird. Now that's not saying that only motion control is always bad. So for simpler games, like sports games for example, as I said in the past, and maybe like games where you control an airplane or something. Yeah, I was planning to bring this up. Basically in this dissection, I've categorized motion control into two different spectrums. Two types of motion control that people should be aware of. First we're going to talk about button motion control, and then we're going to talk about fluid motion control, as I like to call it. Button motion control, which we're going to begin with, is the equivalent of using a motion to replace adding a button. Because what did controllers do as the generations went on? They added more buttons. The Atari 2600 controller had one button. The NES controller had two buttons. And this is not including the joystick or the D-pad. The Super Nintendo had 4 face buttons, 2 shoulder buttons. The PlayStation 1 controller, 4 shoulder buttons, 4 face buttons, added an extra D-pad, and eventually, because of the success of Nintendo's analog stick, added 2 analog sticks. It's really, but you can't do that forever, because eventually it's going to get weird and uncomfortable, and it's just off. So in the end of the day, motion control, I think, is the best answer. And so far, all controllers are doing it. Other than touchscreens, it's another great solution too, but we're talking about motion control today. You see, rather than adding a 3 button and a square button right here, they might just make a different action with the movement. Let's take New Super Mario Brothers. When you're playing New Super Mario Brothers, 1 runs, 2 jumps, A would do the bubble, B, I forgot what that does, minus, plus pauses, minus is, select, home button, and then you use the D-pad to move. But there's a little spin jump, and I really like the spin jump. It's pretty cool. It helps you. It fixes your platforming mistakes a little bit, and you do it like this, rather than making it uncomfortable by doing this or something, or having to hit a button over here or over here, or taking away the bubble button by replacing it with the A button in general. You do this, and you don't have to go like. You just do this, and I think that's a really good example of button motion control. And I'm going to show off Okami, because I think that's another excellent example of button control. Now the reason I want to do that is because this is where I really discovered an idea of button motion control, quote unquote, because something to remember about Okami is this is the Wii version, but the game was originally for the PS2, where everything had to do with a button. Rather than making it so you had to add more buttons on the Wiimote, which would have been ridiculous, or make a custom controller for it, they added motion control peripherals. That little speed up thing Okami did. I haven't played the PS. I played the PS2 version very briefly, and I haven't done it in a very long time, so I don't really remember what the controls were. But I assume obviously you need a button to activate running sooner, even unless you couldn't do it. I don't remember. But anyway, point is that tackle there, that was a button. Now I just flick the Wiimote a little bit. Nothing too difficult. They're not making you stand up and move around, and that is a turnoff. And there's a lot of turnoffs to the motion control. Don't get me wrong, but that's just how it is. this is motion control done right. Button motion control done right. And the idea with that is, excuse me for bumbling here. It's been a while since I played Okami. I am planning on doing another playthrough eventually. I love this game. But yeah, I figured out eventually. There you go. But that being said, we have tackles. There's now a swing rather than a button. We saved a button on the controller. That's how you have to look at it. We saved a button on a controller. That's just how it is. Now, we're going to show off something here. If Amaterasu would hurry up already. Now, you think the constellation thing we're about to do, we fluid motion control, which is not, just think of it right now as not button motion control, but it's not. It's actually also button motion control because this is replacing a joystick, an analog stick. Instead of doing an analog stick, I'm using motion control, and it's this, and yeah, that's pretty much the basis of what I'm saying. And I think that's really clever and really cool because you save the Wiimote from having to get another analog stick. It's not complicated. It's something that shouldn't be too much. Just like it's exactly the same as not having too many buttons. You shouldn't have too many motion control commands. But at the same time, it's very handy. Okay, so now let's next talk about fluid motion control. This is the motion control that requires fluid movement. It's not replacing a button. I'm not doing this to replace this. Instead, I'm doing this to represent my arms or whatever. So we have the Wiimote. Let's take Wii Music. That's an excellent example. That is one of my Let's Plays that are currently on hiatus, which I have not abandoned. I'll take this time to say that right now. I'm probably going to make a video eventually. I don't know. The thing is, my basement's been... It's so hard to get... This is my basement. It's so hard to get down here now. Lately, you know, but whatever. That's another story for another day. Let's go back to this actual video. I am so professional. Now, let's say we are conducting in Wii Music, which I heard might get a sequel, which is pretty cool. I wouldn't mind. Actually, that was the point of the Let's Play, really, get a sequel. But so here I am. 1, 2, 3. This is fluid because I will do this in real life, and I'm using the Wiimote as a representative of this fluid control, and that's what I am doing. Another excellent example of this is Skyward Sword. What Skyward Sword did very well, and with the perfect best Wii games, with exceptions, have successfully combined button motion control and fluid motion control. The Legend in Skyward Sword, say what you want about it, it did an excellent job. Not all the time, but you know, with a lot of things, did an excellent job representing a fluid motion control with a sword. Unlike Twilight Princess, which was clearly button control, this is the B button. What I'm doing right now is the B button. And unlike Okami, where I have to do this and this and this because I can't hold down the button in the PlayStation 2 version to keep attacking, I was able to do that in Twilight Princess. You just do this. That's pretty much the game. I'm not against Twilight Princess. I'm just saying this is what you did. But monsters are easy to kill anyway. And that's why I think they did it, because they didn't want people doing this. I remember that's a big argument. So you look like an idiot doing this. Well, you look like an idiot doing this too. Whatever. Nah, I'm kidding. Fluid motion control. Is gonna be shown for an example by another game I felt perfectly combined button and fluid motion control. And what they used for fluid control was the pointer, because this isn't replacing an analog stick. I am pointing at a point of the screen with my arm. My arm is trying to point at something. That is the fluid part of the control. So with that, to show an example of this pointer, along with some button motion control mechanic, a famous button control mechanic, we're going to look at Super Mario Galaxy. So like I said, I firmly believe the perfect Wii games are games that perfectly blended motion control and use it very sparingly at a perfect balance with the buttons. Because in the end of the day, here's the conclusion of motion control, at least in my eyes, at least from my analysis and dissection. Motion control was successful as a secondary usage. It is not meant to be a primary use that just annoys the hell out of you. And it is a balance. Sonic Unleashed, when you use the Wiimote and Nunchuck, it did get a little annoying the way they controlled it. But here's Mario using the spin attack, a button motion control mechanic. So I use that control, And that's pretty much all there was to it. There wasn't that anything complicated. They introduced this bubble thing where my pointer became a fan. Fluid motion control. There it is. That little blue star is my pointer. That is my fluid motion control device. It does many things in this game. It collects star bits from far away, so Mario doesn't go all the way over there to get it. It helps, if you're a second player, it can help stun enemies. In Galaxy 2, it can even help destroy enemies because your player 2 becomes a Luma. And it's just awesome. I really do think that. I think Mario Galaxy just done it so well. The perfect balance and blend of all types of motion control and traditional controls. And the fluid motion control is all about... That's the harder one to be successful. That's what I'm going to say about that. That is the harder one to be successful because I don't blame gamers. A lot of them don't want to bother with it, you know? And I don't blame them. But if you make it simple, manageable tasks, the pointer is the perfect one. Everyone loves a pointer. And the controlling like the hook shot from Zelda or something, that is great. But the fluid control that requires all your body movement, when you just want to play a game, it's like, it can break, if not done right, I'm going to stress, I can't stress enough, if not done right, because it can be done right, it'll just get complicated and annoying. That's just how it is. The motion control is just a balancing act, and it's something that really should test a good developer. And you gotta appreciate that stuff, you know? So I'll stand by what I said there at the end of the last bit. Putting motion control in your game really shows the greatness and creativity of the developer. That is also can be said about touch screens or touch pads and whatnot. If you can have fun with a full-length game, I'm not talking a pocket game or something, with motion control and whatnot and all this stuff, that is a test of a great developer with great ideas and can really keep your focus and keep your interaction and flow. That is a fantastic game, and motion controls, I really think, solidified that. I really think that we really got something going with motion control, and now we realize with the Wii. Now we know, you know, that was a great console. So well because we wanted to see what it was like, and it's a good thing it did because now we have more additions to the controller. We have our gyroscope. We have our fluid and button motion control styling things. You know what I'm saying? It's awesome, and that goes well with trigger buttons, shoulder buttons, face buttons, D-pads, analog sticks, whatever. Now we have the NFC figure scanners too. You know, it's just all part of gaming evolution. And one day, you know, I'm excited to see what innovations will come next. I really am. So until then, next time, speaking of gaming developers, I wanted to do another analysis on something game developers might have to do, console-wise. We're gonna look at something I call pushing the hardware. I want to analyze different consoles in their early games and their final games and see how developers grew in figuring out how a console worked, how the hardware they're building for worked, and how they made answers to discover new ways to use it and creative ways to move forward. And until then, guys, thank you for watching. So yes, thank you all so much for watching. If there's anything I missed, if there's any information you think I should add, if there's any information you think if there's any information I got wrong, please don't hesitate to leave that in the comment section. I'd really love to hear it, and I'd really love to emphasize more on this video. So yes, everyone, thank you all so much for watching. I've been Billy, your video game analyzer. Have a good day, good night whenever you're watching this, and I'll see you in the next one.